The Nutcracker Prince, Part 2. Clara and the Nutcracker Prince rode their sleigh, bending around the trees of a snowy forest. The snowflakes twirled and swirled, each crystal flake spun into a tiny dancer. Deeper into the glittering forest they went. Then they drifted down beside a moonlit river.
"Where are we going?"
Clara asked. The prince pointed across the water. "We are going to the land of sweets," he said. They climbed into a nutshell boat pulled by blue dolphins. As they drew closer to the shore, the air around them smelled of cakes and spun sugar and chocolate treats. The land of sweets was more beautiful than Clara could have ever dreamed. Ladyfinger Mountain stood tall, topped with whipped cream snow. Candy flowers in every colour covered the hillsides. In the valley, swirls of buttercream frosting reflected the soft moonlight. Their boat stopped at a dock made from red and white peppermint. From out of thin air, the beautiful sugar plum fairy appeared. The prince told the fairy how Clara had saved him.
"I know,"
the fairy said as she led them to the candy castle.
"and now a party awaits."
The fairy led Clara and the prince into a grand ballroom.
"We hope you will like the party,"
the fairy said. On top of the longest table Clara had ever seen, a feast of sweets awaited them. There were cakes in every colour, topped with fruit, flowers and sugary things. Licorice trains zoomed around gingerbread houses. Clara and the prince filled plates high with their favourite treats. The fairy sat them on two beautiful thrones. As they took their first sweet bites, the dancing began. Spanish dancers kicked up their heels in a lively tune. They clapped castanets and twirled to the sound of trumpets. Next, Arabian dancers hidden behind veils moved in a dance that looked like steam rising. The sound of flutes welcomed the Chinese dancers. They pranced lightly about the room in costumes of bright colours. Russian dolls in candy cane clothes leapt into the air. They danced in a way that made Clara's heart race. Then out came Mother Ginger wearing a giant gingerbread skirt. As she twinkled across the stage, her 8 children came out from under her dress. They spun and danced around her. A waltz of flowers came next. The colourful blooms were rainbows of movement. Clara clapped with joy as the ballerinas took their bows. Then the sugar plum fairy came to the centre of the floor. Clara was happily lost in the dance. She knew she would never forget this song or this moment. When her dance ended, the sugar plum fairy presented Clara and the prince with crowns.
I pronounce you rulers of the land of sweets.
The fairy said as she placed a jewelled crown on Clara's head. The room burst into applause. One by one, the dancers came and bowed before Clara and the prince. One by one, they slowly disappeared. As the last of the guests came by, Clara began to feel sleepy. The prince led Clara to the beautiful Christmas tree. Then he kneeled before Clara. He took her hand and kissed it. Clara gazed up at the twinkling lights of the tree. When she turned around, the Nutcracker Prince was gone. The grand ballroom of the Sugar Castle had suddenly changed into the parlour of Clara's home.
Was it all a dream?
Clara wondered. She looked down at the wooden nutcracker laying in his bed. She noticed something was different. The nutcracker now wore a beautiful jewelled crown, and so did Clara.